all seen celebrity parents get very famous in the NBA. The best example of this is LeVar Ball. But in today's world, we're seeing this even happening in the NFL. And the best example, in my honest opinion, is Miss Regina Jackson, who is from California. And if you don't know who she is, you've definitely seen her around because she's the mother of Jayden Daniels. Now, Jayden Daniels probably had the best rookie season of any NFL quarterback in the history of the league. And they were within one game of going to the Super Bowl. And who's the reason for that? Regina Jackson. She's known for her unorthodox ways, like even sitting in between her and USC's female star Juju Watkins, and obviously being an overbearing mother. But we gotta admit, Jayden Daniels is on the right path. It's the opposite path that we would see from a guy like Travis Hunter. Imagine you are Travis Hunter's mom. Our father, your son has done a lot of great things, especially his mother, who struggled heavily to go from Florida to Georgia. And after putting in all of your work, all of your time, taking care of this young man, he ends up with a lady that didn't even want to be with him.
He would literally drive me, sit outside for hours while I'm inside like partying, and then take us home.
I mean, just imagine that's what your son ends up with. A lady who is just there literally for the free ride, and you have nurtured him and done everything you can to get him to the next level. Instead of letting a lady like Leanna Lenee create troubles for her future NFL-bound superstar son, she nips that in the bud. And she's often criticized for it.
I do not understand mothers like Jayden Daniels' mom. She literally be cock blocking that boy at every chance. It's literally crazy. Because why is she chaperoning this grown-ass man on his date? That is crazy.
If you see Jayden Daniels, it's very easy to categorize him in this manner.
I've always had this thing where I am never going to compete with your mom. So if I'm dating a person or if I'm in a relationship with a person, there should be no competition with your mom. Your mom is in a separate category. She is priority in and of itself. However, once you have a partner, your partner also takes priority as well, right? And so if I feel like you're being a little too dependent or not as self-sufficient as I would want you to be, where you're relying on your mom to cook, to clean, to do laundry, etc., I just don't think that's a good sign, because that's foreshadowing how it can potentially carry over into our relationship.
Definitely, he is a mama's boy. I mean, he would do anything to make his mother happy. She's the agent. She's in his life. She's everywhere. You keep seeing comments all over the internet saying, hey, she needs to get her own husband. She needs to do whatever she needs to do. And on the other hand, you're seeing people like, she's a great mom, God bless her, and gotta respect mom. This is what you're hearing. But recently she appeared on the Pivot podcast, and Ryan Clark asked her a very important question.
You were very honest about protecting him. You said predators, also protecting him from women who can be predators. And we've seen that all through sports. We see it after their careers. We see it in business. Being the good woman you are, also raising a daughter, why have you been so diligent about protecting Jayden from the wrong woman?
And she responds in kind.
If you're a star athlete and you're a female in WNBA, that should be your biggest fear is, the men or, the women, because you're a public figure and, your dollar amount is associated with your name. So you never know who really is there for you and who's really against you.
And this isn't the first time that she's boldly talked about avoiding promiscuous and predatory women.
Now that Jayden is getting ready to take this next big step, what concerns you the most?
Girls. Them girls. Some girl out here, she's got Jayden Daniels' wall, and her mama said, hey, honey, you're going to be the one who's going to go get him. And I know that sounds crazy, but I guarantee there's someone out there who's trying to get their hooks into Jayden Daniels.
Here's something that we all gotta know, especially if you're a young black man or even a middle-aged black man coming into success. I think that we all mature and grow once we all have a new opportunity for somebody else. Kevin Samuels, for an example, had a brand new opportunity when he was in his early 50s and mid 50s that he never had before. And different people wanted to always hang out with him and meet up with him. And that wasn't always the case in his life. It just so happens that Jayden Daniels' God-given talent has allowed him to be able to experience this at age 23 and 24. And all of these people want something from him, and they don't have his best interests at heart. Now, I understand what everybody else is going to be saying. He'll need to grow up one day, and he'll need to pick up a good woman and figure that out, because his mom is going to basically, be in the way of that relationship. I understand. And it is a good point, because his mother, if he is, going to go into his older age, his mother will pass before him, and he'll need to figure it out. Here's the situation. He also doesn't need to be going through the same things that we're seeing DDG go through, or the potential damage that we're seeing with Travis Hunter, or a lot of these guys like Kevin Garnett, or any of these other young men when they get into the NBA, and then for the majority of their life, they become simps. When you have your mom there or a parent there, it's no different in this case of Eli Manning being there, or Archie Manning being there for their sons. And again, I know we come from a different community where the father isn't there, but hey, this is the same thing. His dad is not as active as the mom in this case, so the mother is protecting her child because she is the person that has invested. And although I do believe it is a little bit overbearing, one thing is true. I'd rather mama get the money than somebody else, because in the case of mom, she's the one that's always been there. The same thing goes on for my mother. My mom dealt with a lot of my BS for a long time. She made sure I got tutoring. I was able to go to medical school. I was able to do a lot of things that I have advantages in my life now. And people come and they go out of my life, but my mom has always been there, and that's the great relationship. And that's something that I believe that a lot of black men understand, whether it's your mom or it's your grandma or it's somebody that's always there. And if anybody should get access to what you have, it should be the person that has helped you get it in the first place. I'm not trying to say that you can't meet good chicks or you can't meet good friends, but how many times do you go out here and you meet somebody and they basically pretend to be your friend and they want everything from you, And anything can happen in the NFL. Somebody can get hurt. Your career could be over. I was looking at Sterling Sharp, and I remember in the early 90s, Sterling Sharp had a great career. And this last year, in 1994, he caught 18 touchdowns. He's in his prime at almost 30 years old, and his career was cut short because he had a vertebrae injury, and he could no longer earn. He could no longer make money. His whole career was over right there in football, right? So you don't know how much longer you have. I do also understand that men have to grow up, but I would basically take the chance of having a mom like Regina Jackson doing what she's doing over Jayden Daniels than be like Travis Hunter with Leanna Lenee. I would take that 100 out of 100 times. I would rather his mom try to protect him as much as possible and try to warn him as much than him to make a silly mistake like being Travis Hunter, where you're dealing with a chick that you've seen being cheating, dealing with a chick that's been disrespecting, dealing with a chick that was twerking on dudes, and you're still taking care of her. You're even helping her family. Hell no. I absolutely agree. And I want to give a shout out to a person that gave me the inspiration for this video. It was Riva TV. She made a title or a video on the similar subject called NFL Player. Jayden Daniels' mom says he won't end up like Travis Hunter or Xavier Worthy, and that is exactly what's happening. These young men are being taken advantage of by some of these ladies. Look at Drea Michelle and Jalen Green. Look at PJ Washington and Brittany Renner. Would you rather that happen? And I understand you gotta learn sometimes, but I'd rather learn, while my mom is there than to have a devastating injury like that to my self-esteem early on in the game. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Drunk. Appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.